Hello, and welcome back. It's Thursday, and this is another episode of Electricpreneurs Secrets, the Electrician's podcast, where me and my partner Joe, the sales bot Lucani, go live with you 5 days a week. We get rid of all the fancy shit, Joe. There's no buttons that make cows moo or cats meow. It's just us helping electricians master sales, simplify pricing, and deliver premium level electrical service. And no intro does more for me than one where I get to make you laugh and have trouble holding it together myself. How you doing, brother?
I've been doing better now. I'm sitting there like cows moo and cats meow. Like, man, what kind of podcasts are you listening to that those are the background noises?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm back to training kids that are 2 to 3 years old about the farm animals. Maybe I should have said lightning crashes. Could have been a feature on Live the Band. A little pun, little duality there.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of duality, not to steal the mic completely, but tomorrow we're going to go into some duality chats on really living through the sales process as a robot or as an authentic person. So you're going to want to stick around for tomorrow's chat as well. Today, though, we're talking about the miserable millionaire electrician. Speaking of miserable electricians, before we get right into this, Joe, I got to tell you something personal. Is that okay?
I mean, I'm never going to say no to something personal. Please open your heart, Ben. What's going on?
You told me the secret to keeping a Keurig healthy. The coffee machine, the pods.
Yeah, no, right? I remember, yeah.
And I think I said this, maybe even live on a podcast. We were at a big box outlet, and I got one that's like the full combo Ninja coffee maker with the pods and everything. $50. It was an incredible deal. Super pumped. As I just made a coffee before this show, and I'm putting tap water into it.
Why?
Like Joe told me about this. So there's going to be a miserable electrician somewhere down the road who goes to do a podcast, has no coffee, and I think it's because of the filtered water thing. So I've got a little correction path to go down here, but
okay. Well, hey, if nothing else, you saved $200 and got a deal, but you adding the tap water is eventually going to kill it down the line. You spend too much time around plumbers, you learn about water quality. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. There's a part of me that's like, well, this is a multi-use unit. It's not actually just a Keurig. It's got everything. So it must be built differently, right?
Nope. Nope. Not a chance.
We'll see when all the minerals add up and it no longer works.
Yep, that'll happen.
Now, on to helping electricians with something very serious. Unless you have anything equally inspiring yet or funny or something to interject. Maybe cows meowing.
I'm just loving the energy right now. I mean, this is hilarious. So just please, let's keep going with it. I'm down.
Yeah, right, man. No, it's actually a very serious chat because today we are talking about the miserable millionaire electricians. And I encounter this all the time. Guys, just so we're clear, like I am not immune to being trolled on Facebook. It's where a lot of our stuff lives. We got you guys engaging with us. Our favorite fans right now live with us in the community group chat, and please say hello if you're here. Let us know your day's going. Love to hear your wins. We know you guys are here to, well, chat with us, to grow a business, to work together, to be part of this team, to be an electricpreneur, right? And grow your business and have healthy engagements with people. But even I get trolled sometimes. Every once in a while, you get this old school mentality out there that's just like, you guys shouldn't even be in business. Go do this for 20, 30 years first. Go work for someone for 30 years first, and then you can go out and be somebody. Until you make 4 million a year, you're nobody in my books. It's just on, and it's like, oh my God, it's a constant reminder, and it ties in perfectly to this topic today. Joe, I happen to know someone who's made well over $1 million from their own van consistently. And in the beginning, that person was not happy. Do you know who I'm talking about?
This fucking guy right here.
Are you okay with sharing a bit of that story and like coming through this with us?
Yeah, I'm willing to do that. It's going to be a hard conversation, but I'll do what I can to keep my act together. Is that cool?
And yeah, if I can just say, like, I really feel we're on point here still with the sales troubleshooting, because what good is it to build yourself, to build your person and go through all this only to realize that you're not happy at the end of that road either?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that started with, I'm not really even sure how to start this story, but I remember the majority of my life, I've suffered through depression and anxiety. primarily associated with being on the spectrum that I didn't realize that I was for the longest time. And I truly thought if I first was a great electrician, everything will make sense. I'll be happy then. People will respect me. I'll fit in. And I became a great electrician. Still didn't fit in. Still wasn't like the way I wanted it to. So then I did the same thing that everyone else does. Oh, I'll start a business. I'll get more money. It's like, okay.
And
So
more
I got the
freedom,
business.
right? More
Yeah.
time,
Oh
more money.
God. Yeah. Literally anytime, for anyone who's listening that's saying like, oh, I'll start a business to have more freedom. You're not. Literally the best expression I ever heard for running a business is you're willing to work 60 hours to not work 40 for some asshole. That's literally what it's like running a business. You will work your butt off, but you'll do it for yourself to build something for you and your family. Still worth it, but it's not to have free time. If you're doing it to get free time, you're going the wrong direction.
Totally.
So I remember thinking like, oh, I know, like I'll make money and I'll make more money and that will make it happier, right? Because I had a hole that I was trying to fill. And I don't know if you guys can relate with this. Anyone who's listening, like if you have that pit in you, no matter what you fill it with, it is just like an endless hole. I used alcohol. I remember I smoked a ton of cigarettes and did a lot of nicotine in my system. I remember just being angry and miserable in so many different ways and not realizing where it was. And the biggest problem with it was that I started wondering, like, why am I even doing any of this? Like, I built this $1 million business and things were going really, really well. And like, I lived in like a paid off house and like, I mean, the money was there, but I was miserable. I'm married to an absolute 10 out of 10 woman who was way out of my league, still miserable in that situation. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Can you imagine how that might affect your day-to-day mentality?
Yeah, man. In many ways, I've lived it. I know we got slightly different paths, but dude, I hear you. Still, some days I have to check myself. Still, some days I have to remember grace too. In the words of one of my favorite artists, Gord Downie, Canadian singer there. Little
I
plug.
love it. So the thing that really came down to it was this. I didn't actually improve until I started going to therapy. The reason being was once I was able to get the alcohol out of my system and I was able to get a little perspective on how much I had accomplished. Like I started a business at 22. Like, yeah, I accomplished a lot by 27, 28 when I started going to therapy. And when I realized all the baggage that I was carrying, I realized that I could put it down. And when I started putting it down, I was realizing that I was serving my clients at a better level. I was connecting with them more. I wasn't bringing all my shit into the room. For any of you guys that are carrying depression or anger or hate in your hearts, imagine like a storm cloud that's over your head. Where you go, it follows you. And you're only one wrong comment away from letting it out. And I remember what that was like. I mean, have you guys ever been in a situation, those who are listening, have you ever been in a situation where the client says something and you want to flip them off? Or you're like, I'm not going to throat punch this guy. Like, this is going to be a problem. When you're calm and when you're willing to be in a place of, I can get past this, your life stops seeming so miserable. And I'm sorry that it took me so many years to get there, but I'm grateful that I pulled it out. I'm grateful that it happened.
Yeah, I love that. And there's something I sense there, this kind of like help yourself to help others. And there's another bridge we'll have to plant here too, in the fact that, you know what? This is bigger than just you. It's bigger than me. And if you're listening, it's bigger than us. It's bigger than ourselves. Even if you don't have a team right now, you will. Just like I posted in my content this week, I think maybe it was yesterday, Wednesday, or one of these days anyway. There's this ironic situation that happens with electricians where they'll say, well, I'm staying small because I got tired of babysitting. Babysitting staff or babysitting clients, it's much the same principle. At the end of the day, business is about leverage to make money off efforts that are not your own. To make money off purses that are not your own through an exchange of value. Either you're conducting the exchange personally with clients who you're managing their personas and relationships, right? And it's a new one every time. Or you're managing the personas and relationships of your staff. But either way, this is about managing people. And it's large part, as we already tied together here, managing ourselves, but it's also in recognition of how to manage others, how to influence others, not control, but how to influence others. So I even want to give a magic question here if I can, and then I'll let
By
you
all
jump
means.
in, Joe.
Sounds good.
You could call this an acronym even. If you had a pen or a pencil right now and you're listening to this, unless you're one of our driving fans, if you're listening and driving, unless you're really going to multitask this safely, please do not write this. Are you okay? It's a bit of a funny one, right? Are you okay? Write that down, say it quickly, and it's as simple as, are you okay? If people are not okay, they cannot be okay performing to their potential.
100%.
And now I'm on a monologue, Joe. Did you have something to jump in here and say?
I did. Yeah, I was going to say in this particular situation, I think it's very relevant. So I'm happy to pass the mic right back. It's one of those situations where when you're not okay mentally or emotionally, it is going to come out one way or the other. The reason being is that there was a time when I was thinking to myself, why am I running a business? I'm working my ass off, and yeah, the money's piling up. But what am I doing with it? What is it going to go to? What is beyond me? Am I just going to buy things? I'm just going to invest it and let it sit there forever? There was no direction in my life that I felt I could ground on for a future goal. It was still, I'm doing this for me, not I'm doing this to serve others. And when that refinement happened, I remember a huge shift because things started being worth doing. It stopped being, well, I'm running this business for me. It was, well, I'm doing something for my family to build them generational wealth. I'm doing something for my community because the community is in a bad shape right now. And electricians in my area were a bunch of hacks who were just cutting in work and really not doing good jobs. When I shifted the perspective from me to us, a big thing happened. Like an emotional lever was just kind of pulled. And I felt like I was able to kick it into the next gear. And that's when I started having the big over $1 million years, because I was in a better place to perform. I could work later with more enthusiasm. I could go to the call and take the punches because I wasn't so fragile on the inside. And I feel like that's really helpful for a lot of electricians because we're a sensitive bunch with very thick exterior skin. Like that electrician, I know that you mentioned the other day where it was like, you're not going to be anything unless you've been in this industry for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm sure that person's not happy. It's just, you can't be. You can't say that every single person has to fit this mold, because I remember thinking the same thing. And I'm sorry if I'm monologuing too, but
No, it's good. It's all valuable
like,
stuff, man. We're here to provide. So keep providing, brother.
No worries. I remember when I first started, it was like, oh, if you can't bend conduit, you're not a real electrician. It's like, okay, great. I learned take-ups. I learned kickoffs. I got it. Fine, no problem. It's like, oh, well, if you can't hand bend this, or if you can't now design this, or you can't read this blueprint, and the list just kept going higher and higher and higher. And there was always someone older saying, you're not shit. And I realized, is that the industry that we've allowed it to become, where there's this older generation that's looking down on us and saying, you're not anything, and all of us carrying that weight on our shoulders, and it's affecting how we're serving our clients. This needs to stop. We're not okay as an industry, and we deserve to do better, and we should do better because our clients and our families deserve it. Even if you don't believe you deserve it, because I know I didn't believe I did. I know that my kids did. I knew that my clients did. And that's why health is necessary.
Yeah, man. No, that's huge. And a mic drop moment. I mean, all I could follow that up with possibly for a mic drop moment would be like lean into the mic and say, self-worth is a bitch. Drop it. You know what I mean? Like it's like a little comedy moment, like walk away. It's so true, man. I mean, look around. So many electricians. I mean, we've taken a stance against racing to the bottom, but that is actually a perspective that we all have in common. When we say that, Joe, what that really means to us is believing in you to believe in yourself, to hold your value higher, to learn to serve and provide value and articulate value so that you can be happy. And by really, by as a, what's the word I'm looking for? As just a condition of that, receiving all that you want in
Hmm.
wealth and
Yeah.
in health, right? And
Hmm.
when you do that, that's that unlocking you were talking about. That's what made it consistent. Please jump in there.
There was a great quote that I just got inspired to say because you're bringing that up.
Yeah,
And it was like, if you do well emotionally, you will be rewarded financially for the service you provide to others.
totally.
I remember when I was younger, I really, really loved a speaker. His name is Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Hmm.
And he's very, very good at motivational speaking and also understanding the Dharma and the Tao Te Ching. And I think it's great. But someone asked him once, because he was very wealthy, and someone asked, like, aren't you upset about how much money you have compared to all the people you work with and all the countries you visit that have nothing? And he literally said, I would, but it's not my fault. Like, it's not my fault that I have this money. This is just a byproduct of the service I'm performing.
That's the word we were looking for, the byproduct. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm glad I helped with that.
Yeah,
Because the thing is that it's not our fault that we become successful. But at the same time, it is directly correlated to the emotions that you can inspire in others. If you leave your clients so happy that they're tearing and they want to hug you when you leave, and they're telling your friends and telling everyone and posting about you, were you a great electrician or were you a great person? That's why I love the process that we designed, because it doesn't just make you a robot. I'm called the sales bot because I'm autistic and robotic. I'm not a programmed machine.
yeah,
But the thing is when you become more human and people can see the things beyond just you holding lineman pliers, they'll look at you as a person. And it's harder to shit on a person, but it is okay to do it to a commodity. So what would you
100%.
rather be, a commodity or a person?
100%. Man, I'm feeling the passion in you, Joe. We've ignited something here.
Yeah.
That's the thing
Yeah.
is, ironically, this whole week's about troubleshooting a sales process, but what it actually comes down to is this is an energy process. This
Hmm.
is you being conducive in your energy to another person and having your sights set on the right things to accomplish everything that you feel you desire in the realization of everything that you need to become. Is that well said? So
Yeah. That
this
makes a
this
lot of sense.
brings me right back to really the science of success versus the art of fulfillment. And just speaking to what you said, like I've heard this from Tony Robbins and many other gurus, like help enough people get what they want and you'll get everything you want. At the
Hmm.
top of this values triangle in humanity, the people that truly realize this level of values and the congruency to values always find that it leads to philanthropy.
Mm.
It's the top level of value, giving back to a community, leading a charge, right? Taking
Hmm.
responsibility and accountability for things like an entire industry that's really in a drought of training with no one else to freaking help them.
Hmm.
That's our current mission. And for us, it's part philanthropy and part employment and part learning and personal development because we get to show up and help people realize their dreams. That's what's really important to me. Again, it's not the rat race, it's the realization of self worth that's important to me. And that's why in our sales call process, when people are being considered for the inside track, our winner's circle, that we carefully select our clients based on who they are and what they represent. You could have all the pieces in a row and be a perfect avatar for us to increase your sales. But if you're not a great person looking for doing it for the right reasons, to
Hmm.
build a strong team, to have a great culture, to help homeowners feel better and safer and have a better life, then it's not even a fit for us. Culture is so much bigger than money here. The money
Hmm.
is a byproduct, as Joseph so cleverly pointed out. Go ahead, Joe. Jump right in here, brother.
Thanks, man. It was one of those things where I just wanted to say, like, you mentioned something and it actually almost made me reflect back. If I had received the level of training that we're producing now Like if there was someone that was like us that could guide us or guide me back then, I wouldn't have accepted it. And I recognize that now because I truly thought that I deserved to be miserable. Self-loathing is a very difficult thing to carry. And I think it's something that too many electricians have in them. Like we as an industry, we're very logical based people. We're very, get in there, cut your teeth kind of mentality. And that often harbors a lot of negative self-resentment. And the problem is that resentment is going to bleed through in other aspects of your business. So Clay's right. You can have everything in the world, but if you're not right inside, your results will also not be right. And that's why we're so selective with who we work with, because we want to empower the people that will empower their industries, their communities, their families, their employees, their whole area. We're not in this just to make one person money. We're interested in helping an entire community.
I still have it, Joe. Remember, we just talked about this earlier this week, I think. I had a present that you had sent for my birthday and it sat here. I didn't open it for days, even though I had it, because there's a part of me that doesn't deserve a gift, that feels that I don't deserve a gift.
I was going to call you on that because you fucking deserve everything that's been given to you.
I want to demonstrate that. So just the same, guys, this is not about us being further down the road than you are. This isn't about the gap and the gain right now. The only gain it is about being better than you were yesterday. This isn't the mechanic shop where we turn a wrench, put a new nut on it, and everything's good. That's not the way it works, right? We're the culmination of all the inputs of our life. That's your character, like a PLC, man. All of your outputs are driven by the inputs. Is that so hard for electricians to agree on?
I mean, it depends, because some people who work on PLCs are like, well, I'll just pull it out and put it back in and it's going to work again.
Ladder logic and go again.
Yeah, I was going to say just go into it. And that's like the equivalent of I'm just what I did. I'm going to come home. I'm going to pour a shot. Turn it off, turn it back on,
Yeah. We all literally have something called the reticular activating system in your brain. It's literally storing and building habits based on inputs and your desired outputs, but also the outputs that it's been shown. So there's this concept of captain and crew. And even though you might be aware at times of where the captain wants you to go, you might listen to this and be motivated and think, that's what I need. I just need to focus on helping people. But you wake up tomorrow, the first thing, no morning routine, something sets you off, you're not prepared for it, and your whole day goes to shit. That's the crew. So the captain and crew don't always agree. The crew is just doing what it was trained to do, even when the captain's yelling to do something different. Does that make sense?
It does. It's once again, we revert to our base programming. Under stress, you will play the game as you practiced how you'd play it. If you're not preparing your team to undergo stressful situations and still perform the process, when slow season comes, they will cave and they'll start emailing presentations out, because that's what's going to end up happening, because they're not prepared. They haven't been put into the crucible yet.
Yeah.
They need to be reforged into something stronger.
Totally. So let's tie in this crab trap quick, and then I want to get back to the science-based stuff, because I want to build you guys up to let you know that you are enough and you can do this. The crab trap I'm referencing is quite simple. We all see success as that big gap. We see it. You might be listening to us thinking, how'd these guys get here? I can tell you, it's about 15 years of trial and error and fucking around, man. Like serious self-development therapy. You've done it. I've done it. Working sales, working processes, scratching what didn't work, sometimes pouring gasoline on it and lighting the thing on fire and starting over.
Damn right.
This is just the culmination of a series of efforts that have resulted. But no one sees the 3 years I've been on Facebook embarrassing myself with posts to get here. Shaking when I hit enter, wondering if I'm going to say the wrong thing and upset a group of electricians, just like many of you wonder if you should post a question or not in some of these pages where people are getting their assholes ripped. That was a bit vivid. Excuse me.
I was going to say.
Apologies, but here's where I'm going to go. We're going to build this back up, guys, and we're going to call the action items here shortly. The science of this is easy. Just yesterday was Action Wednesday. We gave away our Sanity Sales Framework. You guys can have that. It's a checklist. It's actually really easy. 100%. Every time I ask a client this, if you were a robot and you could just program yourself to do this list of things or do a different list, your old list, your old habits list of things, what would you program it to do to get your optimum results?
Oh God. Literally the thought of going back to who I was, that guy needs to die. I'm not looking to be with him.
It's a rhetorical question, right? They
Mhm.
always, everyone always agrees. Oh, I've just programmed it to do these list of things. So why don't we do it? The science of success is easy. Follow the bouncing ball, hit the list, you will succeed.
Mhm.
Write down your post-call facts. That's right in this value piece we gave away. If you guys didn't get it, go ahead and comment below. Sales sanity. Sorry, I've said that word backwards twice now. If you type sales sanity, we'll just send this to you. If you're not on the Facebook page, go to our website, serviceloopelectrical.com. Type that in the contact form. Hey, looking for some sales sanity over here. We know what you're talking about because we went through this. That part's easy. It's the mastery of self that's hard. And it's the leadership for your team to master themselves. And what we've given you as a tool to help with that today is as simple as, are you okay? Because if people aren't okay, they're never going to act okay. In fact, they're going to do some other shit that you're not going to recognize. And it's just as simple as they're not okay. Work on that, work on the self, work on the fulfillment, work on helping other people, get your values aligned. And you don't have to be a miserable millionaire electrician. You could just enjoy the fruits of your labor as a byproduct of your good work trying to serve everyone at the highest level. Another mic drop moment. This one's been hot. This is a hot mic here today, Joe.
I know. I was going to say, it's like Biggie's holding it, just a smoking mic. I love it.
Please tell me you've got an action item in mind.
I do. So the thing that I've learned is that change is hard when you try to change big things. But what's not hard is implementing small habits, because discipline is just you continually doing small, minuscule steps that take you in the right direction. Like I remember, trying to get healthier and being like, I'm going to work on my diet. I'm going to do things. And for any of you guys who've tried dieting and exercising, how many of you have been like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go gung ho. And then 3 weeks later, you're going to Krispy Kreme. Like it happens. Like it's one of those things you can't help it sometimes. But the small habit of, well, I'm not going to do this, but what I will do is wake up every morning early and I will be on the treadmill, walking, crawling, whatever it is for 30 minutes. That's just what I'm going to do. I don't care what happens after. I can eat all the donuts I want, but I'm going to get up every morning and do this. That becomes easier. Then you can add something else. Then you can add something else. Then you add something else. And then you look back at yourself and you're like, my abs are coming in. I'm looking good. Okay. And you realize it wasn't a huge change. It was these small little steps that you consistently performed. So my basic action for you is this. If you can't visualize yourself doing what we're asking for in the entirety of it, you're okay. I probably couldn't either when I first started. But I am going to challenge you to say, what is the smallest thing that you could change? Instead of having a pack, maybe have 8 of the cigarettes, maybe have 5 cigarettes of the pack. Instead of having 2 drinks, can you have 1? There are things you can do that are small, but will lead to huge results.
Progress equals happiness, man. I love it. Love it. Okay, All-Star. Obviously, if you haven't gotten this action piece yet, you ought to do that. I've already given this a shout out, right? For sales sanity, get the post-call fact sheet. It's coming with the demand call process. That's a huge piece. Obviously, we've been in touch also with the sensitive side of things, so I'm going to finish that with the All-Star. What do you want? I've asked you guys this before, and I bet most people never answered it because it's a really hard question to answer. The default might be, well, to take care of my family. The default might be to make money. But really explore, what do you want? Get through the surface things and make sure it's actually about you. Here's how you'll know. My next question is, after you write down what you want, why? Why do you want that? And why again? Take it to 5 whys. In fact, we're going to explore that more on tomorrow's episode as we go through this duality of a sales process, being the robot versus being the authentic self and shining through that process flow. Joe, thank you so much for all your passion and kind words and good, helpful advice today. I cannot wait to do this again tomorrow.
Pleasure's mine, my brother. Talk to you soon.
Cheers to you guys. This has been episode 137 of Electricpreneurs Secrets, the Electricians podcast, where a couple of master electricians with business addictions help you 5 days a week to master your sales, simplify your pricing, and deliver premium level service. This is us signing off. We'll catch you on Friday.